just a few hours ago, when I wrote this script, AMD launched a video entitled Introducing AMD Ryzen Threadripper Pro processors. With this, AMD just put the last nail in Intel's coffin and marks its dominance in the x86 microprocessor space. But how did this happen and why? Let's find out. Intel, as a semiconductor manufacturing company, hasn't been as big as it is from the beginning. It started as a small firm of enthusiasts and slowly grew making semiconductors. In 1971, it launched its first microprocessor named the Intel 4004. It grew fast, opening manufacturing facilities in Malaysia and Singapore, and in the early 80s its main product was DRAM chips, but with new competition this field grew less profitable. The big shift to the microprocessor manufacturing was made possible by IBM's personal PC in the mid-80s. The company grew significantly, but in the late 90s and early 2000s Intel faced its competition, mostly represented by AMD, and this translated in Intel branching off in other domains. The results that we can see today as Intel network devices, SSDs, and many other different products apart from microprocessors. As I was saying, Intel was trading blows with AMD in the beginning of the 21st century. Slowly other competitors were soon reduced to silence, and only AMD and Intel remained on the x86 market. Intel started to focus on big companies, where the real money was, and soon was considered the go-to company for server processors. This was lately consolidated by the famous launch of the LGA 1366 platform, the successor of LGA 771 in the year 2009, which completely killed AMD in the server space. This could have been seen as far as 2017, where the market level Intel had 99.5% of all server processors with their name on them. In the years following 2009, Intel had a firm grip on the consumer, the professional or HDT, and the enterprise market. But that all changed with the launch of first gen Ryzen in 2017. This was a very risky move by AMD, and it had terrible problems with bulldozer architecture and its later cousins, the A series of APUs, which were fine for entry-level gaming, but did not compare with the force of Intel's i5s. Better than that, Intel wasn't going to counter them too soon, so they came up with the double amount of cores and threads compared to i7 range, at a very reduced price. These chips were not by any stretch Intel's HDT competitors, but they were challenging the 4 cores is enough for gaming strategy. This generation was hyped a lot and turned out okay. Among the consumer chips, AMD also presented the new Ryzen Threadripper series, which were meant to fight Intel's supremacy in the professional sector, but not in the performance field, more like in the value realm. The second generation of Ryzen came about in 2018, and it wasn't any fancy event. AMD learned from its mistakes, Vega, and stopped overhyping its product. The second generation was a complete success. The CPUs were built on a new 12nm process with their Zen Plus architecture. This, plus the fact they were priced very competitive, meant that tides were shifting in AMD's favor. Intel wasn't going to go down with 2 hits. It launched the famous i7 8700K, a fierce competitor to the all-rounder of a CPU that was the Ryzen 7 2700. The 8700K was the last good counter to AMD. It was just downhill from this. Now we have to look back to 2016, where Intel is on the wave and claiming the performance crown. It is dominating the market for over 5 generations now, and is ready to release a new lineup. And this was the birth of Skylake architecture. Built on a new 14nm process, this was led by now very prevalent 6600K and its bigger brother, the 6700K. Both very good CPUs for the money, and that lasted a lot. The next year comes around and Intel decides to improve the process, launching the Kaby Lake lineup led by the now famous 7700K. This CPU was an incremental change over its predecessor, but it reigns supreme in gaming and many tasks. Now, the 8700K that I was talking about just a minute ago, well, it was built on the same 40nm process, but with two pluses. This was relatively okay by that time, as although Intel was known to improve its transistors every 2 generations. The fight was fierce, and that is what I'm saying, but progress awaits for no one. It's now 2019, and the hype for the next generation of Ryzen processors is building up. It is rumored to be on the now new 7nm process from TSMC and on the very anticipated Zen 2 architecture. The gains look too good to be true, and the PC world holds its breath on the 7th of July for the awaited launch. And AMD delivers a generation of processor that never been seen from the 2011's 2500K. The Ryzen 5 4600 is a superb processor that holds its ground in gaming and wipes the floor with Intel's offerings in the same price bracket in multi-threading. A true legend was born. The response from Intel was unfortunately disappointing. The 9th generation led by the 9700K, the first i7 in almost 10 years with no hyper-threading but excellent in gaming, but that's only the good part. The poor i5 9600K was hated by reviewers by not being enough for gaming. Intel's plans and supremacy were failing fast. Then the Epic Rome lineup was launched with the first 64-core CPU, capturing the server market. And later that year, AMD launches the successor of Threadripper CPUs, the 3rd gen bringing more PCI lanes, version 4.0 like the younger brothers, and a sufficient IPC improvement to bring Intel's Extreme series CPUs to their knees. And when the fight we thought was over, the leaks came in. AMD was planning to bring 64 cores to the desktop market. The 3990X would be a monster of a CPU with a relatively coolable TDP of 28 watts, the crowning achievement of Zen 2 and AMD. The reviewers were in awe about it, but AMD kept on surprising. The 4th generation of laptop CPUs was coming up, and the benefits of 7nm and improved architecture were showing. Intel was again beaten in every field. In the price department was completely destroyed. In the performance department, the Ryzen 9 4900H beat the blazing inferno of a 9999 ADHK at almost half the wattage. Intel was now realizing it obscenely underestimated AMD and its power, and now this giant was just stretching its legs. And so we get to the present day. AMD just launched the Ryzen Threadripper Pro lineup that destroys any problem Threadripper had in competing with Intel's higher RAM capacity and memory bandwidth. These CPUs have 8 channels of DDR4 and support up to 1 TB of the capacity. And Zen 3 and Epic Milan are not far in the future. At last, the year 2020 is just at its half and shaping up to be the best so far in recent computer history. I wonder what the future holds for us, Intel and AMD. That was all for today. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the like button and get subscribed for more. I am Hard Shenanigans. Have a good night.